Hey, welcome to AI TV. We're broadcasting live from AI Expo Africa 2019, Africa's largest AI trade show. I'm Nick Bradshaw, I'm the co-founder of the event, and I'm being joined today by Matt Jennings from SAP, as Global VP Americas. It's great to have you here, Matt. Thanks for coming.
Great, yeah, happy to be here. It's a really great event, and it's good to see our participation here in the interest of what we're doing.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I've been in the software game for over 20 years, and obviously SAP, global platform provider. Obviously, we know from supply chain at the origins
Right.
of supply chain automation, but clearly now AI is playing a big role in what you're doing. Maybe you can explain to the audience a little bit about how SAP is incorporating automation and intelligence into your platform.
Yeah, if you look at the organization, a large ERP back-end systems company, 400,000 customers around the world, there's a demand for enabling technologies, and part of those enabling technologies are artificial intelligence. So if you think about things like conversational AI, RPA, to help those business processes, enhance those business processes, create that efficiency across the organization, that's really where we see the opportunity and what our customers are requesting.
Okay, and in terms of, clearly we've been liaising with the local team here in South Africa, but globally the kinds of shows that like the one we're putting on here. So this is a trade-orientated show. Are you seeing increasing numbers of these around the world?
We are, and I think what's interesting in being here, we spend a lot of time in Europe, we spend a lot of time in the Americas at these types of events, and I think it's great to see the thought leadership and the thinking in the presentations are starting to gel, and so there's some consistency across the globe about how artificial intelligence is being applied into the enterprise, and so I think that's really good to see.
And in terms of the engagement that you have with your customers, obviously you've clearly got some major global brands in your customer base. Do you go through a sort of set process, or a methodology, a way of engaging with them on these new technologies? Because it's still very new for many enterprises now.
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that we sometimes have challenge with in go-to-market, because what you find is as a large software enterprise company, you also find enabling technologies that are used in different ways and creatively with small startups and things like that. So some of the times we have to look at different ways to go to market and be a little more creative about who our partners are and who we leverage to go into a customer to create that really business-driven, value-based solution for our customers.
Okay, and I can only imagine being a CIO or a CXO in a large enterprise now. They've got, obviously, you as a vendor knocking on their door. They've got Oracle, they've got IBM,
Right.
They've got Microsoft, Amazon, Google, et cetera, et cetera. It's got to be overwhelming now for businesses to decide, well, what do we do here?
Yeah.
Maybe 20 years ago, there weren't many choices 20 years
Right,
ago. And
right.
now there's almost too much choice.
Yeah.
What top three things do you think you would, or top three pieces of advice would you give to any CXO thinking about embracing AI and augmentation of their processes with your technologies?
I think it's a really good question, and one we get a lot, as you can imagine. And I think our focus in going to market with Intelligent Enterprise is really looking at end-to-end solutions. Mm-hmm. What things can we provide across our portfolio of vendors and lead that opportunity to create a solution end-to-end that has a business outcome? I also think that when you look at SAP and our base into 26 industries, for example, 23, 26 industries, we have 400,000 customers. We understand business process and how data is used on the back end. We can also bring forward best practices and those things that we see in organizations about how to optimize a business and where that enabling technology should be applied and where it's worked well and where it's still maturing, if you will. So organizations like to rely on us because of that expertise, that knowledge and best practices to help them succeed efficiently and cost effectively as well.
And what do you, in terms of, let's say pushback, what do you hear? I don't necessarily push back on your technologies per se, but just push back on skepticism around AI. Do you find that clients are saying, okay, well maybe we're not quite ready for that now?
I would say less so now than there used to be. So okay. I think there's more now. It's more mainstream now, if you will. Mm-hmm. It's in the media. You hear the robotic Armageddon that's coming and those types of things. So I think there's some reality to conversational AI now. I think a lot of people have had chats with customer service engines that says, hey, I am a bot. I'm not a real person. But let's get to the materials of what you want to get to. So I think that's making it more tangible and more real, and people can see the benefits of that. So if you were to ask me that 5 years ago, I would have said there's a lot of PowerPoints that are depicting what's happening. But I think in today's world, there's a lot of need and a lot of energy around AI and how it can benefit the business. and mainly to move those repetitive tasks to be more automated and have organizations and those associates in your organizations focus on those high-value tasks.
Now, obviously, you guys were almost like the first sponsor last year when we ran the inaugural show, and obviously we really thank you for your support coming on board early. And we were unknown last year, and I think we can characterize things here in Southern Africa as being, last year was excitement, and I think this year is definitely about reality now. Large enterprises have maybe dabbled with RPA and they've had some success, and maybe they've tried a chatbot. But now it's very mainstream, as you say. I think we're seeing a lot more reality in people's thinking now, that they know it's not a case of if, it's a case of like when. We are going to have to do this. What's kind of taken your eye here at the show? I mean, obviously you're here promoting your offerings, but has there been any key things you've picked up since you've been here?
Well, I think there's certainly an understanding that there is a massive amount of data that's available to everyone. So if you look at from an entrepreneur who's starting up to say, how do we solve for X, or you look at a large organization, it's the massive data that you have, and it's the quality of the data, but it's also what do they do with the data and how do they glean insights from that data. And I said it's been very consistent across the presentations that I've seen, where they know they have this data, they know that it has value, like what do we do to process it now, and how do we implement AI to get the value out of that data.
Okay, and I mean, is this your first time to Cape Town?
It's my first time to Cape Town, first time to South Africa, so it's been a fantastic visit as well.
Okay, and when are you heading back?
This evening. Evening.
Well, look, Matt, it's been a pleasure having you here and hosting you here at the show, and it's fantastic to see the offerings that are coming out of SAP and obviously your commitment to this market. So I just want to say thanks very much for coming.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you here next year.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.